Hey everybody, I'm back. It's Friday. I was traveling for a couple of days, had to take my daughter to see some colleges. But I was following the markets and everything that is going on. We have, as of this video, which it's about 3:30 Eastern Time, Friday afternoon, stock market is up. It was up early this morning, then it spent most of the day down. Now it looks like it is recovering. So what has been going on? We have seen recently some, moderation in the bearish sentiment. There was intense bearish sentiment. I went over the sentiment numbers today. I sent it out to my subscribers. We had a period of the last 5 weeks or so where negative sentiment really built up and bullish sentiment towards the stock market came way down. What's interesting in these sentiment numbers, if you look at them, is that the neutral contingent, those people who would characterize themselves as neutral with regard to their perspective on the market, that has been elevated basically for the whole entire year. Since January, the neutrals have been above the historical average. It's really pretty interesting. I mean, they didn't hop off the fence when the market sold off in May, okay? They basically stayed neutral. Some of them, their level came down a little bit, so some of them hopped off the fence and went short, of course, at the bottom, right? And as the market recovered, the level of neutrals basically stayed where it has been, even got a little bit higher. So they're still there on the fence. And I contend that I think what will eventually take the neutrals off the fence, and to me this is the key thing to look at now. I mean, the bullish sentiment and the bearish sentiment, that's maybe fluctuating back and forth, and we're having this kind of whippy, choppy market action. But the real story is with the neutrals. Why are they neutral? And what will cause them to hop off the fence and take a commitment one direction or another? I think it's going to be much higher stock market averages. I think you're going to see them all jump off and get bullish, and that's when we'll know when the market has reached a top. Now, of course, not an all-time top. It's going to go higher, but I mean a top that would be a meaningful top. So the date, I don't know, we're looking around. September is interesting. End of September is interesting. Actually, late summer is very interesting because Treasury has told Congress that, hey, you got to raise the debt ceiling or we are not going to be able to make payments. In other words, a technical default. And so far there has been no movement in Congress towards raising the debt ceiling. And the debt ceiling, as I've been telling you, has been creating a lot of problems. An enormous amount of volatility as well. With the Treasury unable to sell securities, the natural function of reserve drain or reserve maintenance is just not there. So you have these tens of billions and hundreds of billions sloshing back and forth between the banking system and the Treasury's account at the Fed. All right, so that has created an enormous amount of volatility. I mean, if you look at the Treasury account, which I look at, basically every day, that thing, when the debt ceiling is not a factor and the Treasury has the ability to sell securities, that thing is basically stable. They like to keep the balance in that account around 300 billion. But since we hit the debt ceiling in March, that thing is going like a crazy, somebody in cardiac arrest, just like going nuts, up and down, like a seismograph reading an earthquake. I mean, it is all over the map. And that is creating a lot of the volatility that's back and forth, up and down in the market. You got hundreds of billions flowing in one month and hundreds of billions flowing out another month. Banks have to adjust their asset mix. I mean, it's causing chaos in the markets. They have to adjust to this. So we know how to play it because we understand it. Nobody else talks about it. I'm guessing most people don't understand it, and I would include in that category even top economists on Wall Street. You don't hear any other MMT person talking about that. I am the only one. But it is a major element right now in this market volatility that we are seeing. You know, the market goes up for a few weeks, and it goes down again for 4 or 5 weeks, and it's back up. It's all this stuff related to the debt ceiling, these volatile flows of reserve balances back and forth. So they got to do something about this, because this is a bad situation. Now, coming towards the end of September, and I hate talking about September now because I want to enjoy my summer, and it's just starting. As a matter of fact, we haven't even really begun summer, because when is that? June 21st is when summer begins. But anyway, I can see towards September, even if they raise the debt ceiling, they're going to have to do a budget. And now everybody's all, you know, it was on the headline of Drudge Report last week about, or earlier this week, about record spending. Like, we knew all that. My people know all that because we follow that day to day. Everything that everyone else sees in the media with regard to that sort of stuff, fiscal, and we have that way before everyone else. We see that real time every single day. And those of you who bought my course, Understanding the Daily Treasury Statement, you are now adept at having that information at your fingertips. So you are now way ahead of every major economist on Wall Street. All right? Nobody else does this. I'm the only one who does it. But the fiscal situation is something which may be in play at the end of September when the new budget, if they're talking about making cuts. Now, the thing is, in that conversation, you have to realize there's not a whole lot they can cut, because the main spending items, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, those are all non-discretionary, all right? And they're not going to get cut in Congress, believe me. And with Trump in the White House, defense spending, which is a discretionary expenditure, but under Trump, it's kind of like it's a non-discretionary, and he even wants to raise it further in the 2020 budget, at least in the budget that he submitted earlier this year. So where else are they going to cut? I mean, with those items, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and defense, you're talking about 3/4 of all government spending, over 4 trillion, 3 trillion, 3 trillion. So you're really talking about minor cuts. So I don't see where it's going to come from. In other words, the fiscal environment is going to stay supportive. And with the Fed, or at least now considering a rate cut, or the market believing that the Fed will cut rates, that's going to be a positive for the stock market. We know how people react when they hear that. They automatically think, boom, that's a positive. I happen to think that the rate hikes, they add to the fiscal support, but people believe that the low rates are positive for stocks. They buy stocks. By the way, on the economic numbers, we see today much stronger than forecast industrial production, retail sales in May, capacity utilization. So once again, as I have been telling you, the bank credit, loans and leases, as I have been explaining, we're saying things are strong, demand is strong, the fiscal support was there. So here we are again, just like in the first quarter. Everybody started out with low forecasts for GDP. It's all going to start to be revised higher. All right? So again, I mean, I keep repeating this, but I have to. That's how people learn. We see everything before everybody else. We have the data. We know how to analyze it. We have the MMT understanding. The bank reserve flows, very, very important, all that stuff. Gold went above 1350 today, although it pulled back. But that is on an uptrend for reasons that I have explained in the past. Dollar had a big short covering rally today, but I believe the top is in. We'll see how that plays out. Anyway, I just want to make this video. I have been away for a few days, haven't been able to make any videos. If you want any of my services, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com. You can get MMT Trader on a 30-day free trial, Zombie Trading on a 30-day free trial, or any of my courses. They're all over there. The Forex trading course, Understanding the Daily Treasury Statement, and the MMT Value Stock Selection course. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye.